इस्लाम अगर सलामती का मज़हब है तो जिहाद का हुक्म।
Question: If Islam is a religion of peace, why does it command jihad? How would you answer this question in the current perspective of situation around the world? The biggest objection against Islam from non-Muslims is jihad. Currently, it seems like only Islam calls for jihad. Answer: Islam commands jihad merely to maintain peace and security. For example, if people get unruly and start oppressing others. If this occurs within a state, we establish police, courts, apprehend criminals and punish them. This system is the same in Australia, America, or Europe. Currently there are over 200 countries in the world. In all these countries, people have created such a system for protection against criminals. If you ask, why do we have police, courts, and criminal system, and why do we apprehend criminals, there is a single answer to this: to maintain peace and protection. To tackle human unruly behavior and disregard for law, people make a system to control criminals. This is required to maintain peace and protection. This is the only reason to establish a government, otherwise people would not accept governance over them. A government is established to provide peace to people. What does a government do? It apprehends and punishes those who violate against people's lives, property and dignity. Similarly, if a nation or a country becomes lawless and tries to oppress other nations, a war is waged against it. This is the reasons we form military force. Qur'an states that if a war wasn't commanded, then places of worship would be annihilated. A few unruly people would have upset the entire system of the world. This is why, to maintain peace, Islam has ordained jihad. Wherever there is lawlessness, oppression, or unruly behavior towards others, and when people's lives and property is in danger, then government has the right to declare war against other nation. Islam doesn't permit war based on religion. In Islam, war cannot be waged based on religious differences, difference in beliefs, or to expand a nation. No war can be waged based on religious reasons. We are required to wage war against oppression. That means, if a nation commits injustice, oppression, and criminal acts against a Muslim nation, and if Muslims are strong enough, then it is ordained upon Muslim nation to stop the aggressors. Currently, this is the same rule in the entire world. The United Nations also allows war in the same scenario. If you are aware of the current history, whether right or wrong, the same reasoning was used to wage wars. For example, if United States intended to attack Afghanistan, or if NATO interfered in Afghanistan, or another nation was attacked, whether you say it was just, or an excuse, but the reasoning presented for war was against oppression and unruly behavior. Similarly, Islam permits war against oppression. The war is declared by a nation, not by a person or a group. It is state's responsibility. If such a state is sufficiently strong, then war can be waged against persecution and oppression. The Quran places a special emphasis on oppression. That means if a nation religiously oppresses its people from expressing and practicing a religion, if they are restricted from leaving or accepting a religion, then war can be waged against such nation. That is the purpose of war as explained in Quran. For this reason, in my perspective, a war is an essential need to maintain peace and protection. For this reason, people have always been arming themselves, and creating armies to tackle those who commit aggression. If a nation becomes a danger for others' lives, money, and dignity, then there is no other option than war. Still, utmost efforts should be put to avoid war. If instead of dialogue, reasoning, and understanding, a nation is committed to aggression, then just as within a state, we take actions against criminals, similarly, actions need to be taken against other nations. Follow-up question: how would you respond when non-Muslims use jihad as an argument against Islam? Answer: I believe my answer covers this. If non-Muslims use this argument against Islam, then they would have to change the rules in the United Nations Charter, and null and void other actions being taken around the world. Then perhaps a new rule will be needed to refrain from taking any action against another nation, no matter how unlawful or unruly it is. If that is not a good rule, then no argument can be made against Islam for the justification of war. The misunderstanding arises when Muslims believe that they are ordered to wage war against others to convert them to Islam, or they are ordered to wage war to eliminate non-Muslims. There is no such order in Islam. If there is no other viable option, we are ordered to wage war against aggression and oppression. That means, if it is not possible to stop aggression with dialogue, negotiation, and mutual understanding, then use of force is justified.